Arthur Schopenhauer Top 109 Quotes. Talent hits a target no one else can hit, genius hits a target no one else can see. To live alone is the fate of all great souls. All truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident. It is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. Life swings like a pendulum backward and forward between pain and boredom. The 2 enemies of human happiness are pain and boredom. Life without pain has no meaning. A pessimist is an optimist in full possession of the facts. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free. What people commonly call fate is mostly their own stupidity. Mostly it is loss which teaches us about the worth of things. Great men are like eagles, and build their nest on some lofty solitude. Money is human happiness in the abstract. He, then, who is no longer capable of enjoying human happiness in the concrete devotes himself utterly to money. Just remember, once you're over the hill you begin to pick up speed. Ordinary people merely think how they shall spend their time, a man of talent tries to use it. Thus, the task is not so much to see what no one yet has seen, but to think what nobody yet has thought about that which everybody sees. Each day is a little life, every waking and rising a little birth, every fresh morning a little youth, every going to rest and sleep a little death. The assumption that animals are without rights, and the illusion that our treatment of them has no moral significance, is a positively outrageous example of Western crudity and barbarity. Universal compassion is the only guarantee of morality. A man can do what he wants, but not want what he wants. Every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. Music is the answer to the mystery of life. The most profound of all the arts, it expresses the deepest thoughts of life. Compassion is the basis of morality. In the whole world there is no study so beneficial and so elevating as that of the Upanishads. It has been the solace of my life, it will be the solace of my death. Life is a constant process of dying. The more unintelligent a man is, the less mysterious existence seems to him. A high degree of intellect tends to make a man unsocial. Patriotism is the passion of fools and the most foolish of passions. Genius and madness have something in common. Both live in a world that is different from that which exists for everyone else. The truth can wait, for it lives a long life. The world is my representation. The greatest of follies is to sacrifice health for any other kind of happiness. One should use common words to say uncommon things. Our life is a loan received from death with sleep as the daily interest on this loan. In their hearts women think that it is men's business to earn money and theirs to spend it. A sense of humor is the only divine quality of man. Intellect is a magnitude of intensity, not a magnitude of extensity. There is only one inborn error. And that is the notion that we exist in order to be happy. The universe is a dream dreamed by a single dreamer where all the dream characters dream too. After your death you will be what you were before your birth. Each day is a little life. Human life must be some form of mistake. To overcome difficulties is to experience the full delight of existence. To be alone is the fate of all great minds, a fate deplored at times, but still always chosen as the less grievous of 2 evils. The present is the only reality and the only certainty. Change alone is eternal, perpetual, immortal. Materialism is the philosophy of the subject who forgets to take account of himself. It would be better if there were nothing. Since there is more pain than pleasure on earth, every satisfaction is only transitory, creating new desires and new distresses, and the agony of the devoured animal is always far greater than the pleasure of the devourer. Every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. This is an error of the intellect as inevitable as that error of the eye which lets you fancy that on the horizon heaven and earth meet. It is difficult to keep quiet if you have nothing to do. Every miserable fool who has nothing at all of which he can be proud, adopts as a last resource pride in the nation to which he belongs. He is ready and happy to defend all its faults and follies tooth and nail, thus reimbursing himself for his own inferiority. We seldom think of what we have, but always of what we lack. Therefore, rather than grateful, we are bitter. Pleasure is never as pleasant as we expected it to be, and pain is always more painful. The pain in the world always outweighs the pleasure. If you don't believe it, compare the respective feelings of two animals, one of which is eating the other. Money is human happiness in the abstract. Women remain children all their lives, for they always see only what is near at hand, cling to the present, take the appearance of a thing for reality, and prefer trifling matters to the most important. To use many words to communicate few thoughts is everywhere the unmistakable sign of mediocrity. To gather much thought into few words stamps the man of genius. Vedas are the most rewarding and the most elevating book which can be possible in the world. A hedge between keeps friendship green. There is something in us that is wiser than our head. Every child is in a way a genius, and every genius is in a way a child. To buy books would be a good thing if we also could buy the time to read them. He who does not enjoy solitude will not love freedom. In reading, the mind is, in fact, only the playground of another's thoughts. No rose without a thorn, but many a thorn without a rose. If God made this world, then I would not want to be the God. It is full of misery and distress that it breaks my heart. Religion is the masterpiece of the art of animal training, for it trains people as to how they shall think. A man becomes a philosopher by reason of a certain perplexity, from which he seeks to free himself. The common man is not concerned about the passage of time, the man of talent is driven by it. Without books the development of civilization would have been impossible. They are the engines of change, windows on the world, lighthouses as the poet said erected in the sea of time. They are companions, teachers, magicians, bankers of the treasures of the mind. Books are humanity in print. No one can transcend their own individuality. Truth is most beautiful undraped. The life of every individual is really always a tragedy, but gone through in detail, it has the character of a comedy. Time is that in which all things pass away. The alchemists in their search for gold discovered many other things of greater value. Genius is an intellect that has become unfaithful to its destiny. The safest way of not being very miserable is not to expect to be very happy. Reading is merely a surrogate for thinking for yourself. It means letting someone else direct your thoughts. The discovery of truth is prevented more effectively, not by the false appearance things present and which mislead into error, not directly by weakness of the reasoning powers, but by preconceived opinion, by prejudice. I believe that when death closes our eyes we shall awaken to a light, of which our sunlight is but the shadow. Men are the devils of the earth, and the animals are its tormented souls. Life is full of troubles and vexations, that one must either rise above it by means of corrected thoughts, or leave it. We seldom speak of what we have, but often of what we lack. The man who goes up in a balloon does not feel as if he were ascending, he only sees the earth sinking deeper below him. You must treat a work of art like a great man, stand before it and wait patiently till it deigns to speak. Scoundrels are always sociable. Talent works for money and fame. The motive which moves genius to productivity is, on the other hand, less easy to determine. Faith is like love, it does not let itself be forced. It is a wise thing to be polite, consequently, it is a stupid thing to be rude. To make enemies by unnecessary and willful incivility is just as insane a proceeding as to set your house on fire. For politeness is like a counter, an avowedly false coin, with which it is foolish to be stingy. We can regard our life as a uselessly disturbing episode in the blissful repose of nothingness. The tallest oak tree once was an acorn that any pig could have swallowed. It is only in the microscope that our life looks so big. It is an indivisible point, drawn out and magnified by the powerful lenses of time and space. It is a clear gain to sacrifice pleasure in order to avoid pain. Men are by nature merely indifferent to one another, but women are by nature enemies. No greater mistake can be made than to imagine that what has been written latest is always the more correct, that what is written later on is an improvement on what was written previously, and that every change means progress. Because people have no thoughts to deal in, they deal cards, and try and win one another's money. Idiots! Every nation ridicules other nations, and all are right. The cause of laughter is simply the sudden perception of the incongruity between a concept and the real project. Everybody's friend is nobody's. Pantheism is only a polite form of atheism. Whatever folly men commit, be their shortcomings or their vices what they may, let us exercise forbearance. Remember that when these faults appear in others, it is our follies and vices that we behold. To feel envy is human, to savor schadenfreude is devilish.